So that appeared for a couple of days, and then she took that off. So, given the relationship I had with her, and given the other pieces that I had submitted, and that she had thought enough to call me to tell me why did she do this? Several explanations come to mind. The short answer is that she got caught with her knickers down, not properly doing her job of vetting what she published. Her mea culpa excuse was bogus. No doubt some irate Christians dumped on her and she looked foolish to her main readers. Second, I think she really was offended at what I said. Third, she had to take drastic action to protect her market. Fourthly, I think she feels I somehow betrayed her. There are less personal ways of dealing with this problem, but if you feel betrayal, then this is what results. And that's my story. Any questions? No questions? You still have me. Any questions? Anybody got anything they want to comment on?
What are your personal beliefs?
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, I'm an atheist. I think religion's a lot of medical nonsense. You know what? I think the time has come for. I think what's been going on is there's not enough people speaking up that feel the way I do. We let these. We pay deference to these religious people, and I think when you've got this crunch coming between these radical Islamists, and then you've got, in the States particularly, you've got these politically motivated Christians, and the secular and the reasonable and the scientific kind of gets lost in the mix. And I think I'm very pleased to see books coming out like Dawkins, The God, Deception, and Hitchens, God is Not Great, and Sam Harris, and The End of Faith. I'm glad to see these things coming out at this time, and I think I hope it encourages people to just say no, just speak out, and always be careful of looking where there's an intrusion. I think that what we really need to do is do some rethinking. Did you know, by the way, that in the Criminal Code of Canada, there's actually a criminal offense for interrupting a church service? If you're here and somebody came in and interrupted, that's not a criminal offense. If you're a Kiwanis club, it's not. But if you're at a church, it's a criminal offense. I have no idea why that should be a criminal offense in the criminal code.
You know if anybody's ever looked at it?
No, I never really looked that one up. Probably maybe many eons ago. The other thing that I think we ought to be looking at, a couple of other things, is I believe most church properties are not subject to property tax, and they have a lot of property, and we need to get rid of that. And the other thing that I would want to look at is, churches are registered as charities under the Income Tax Act of Canada, and some of the money that they get, I guess they use for feeding the hungry and clothing the naked and the rest of that good charitable stuff, but some of it I'm betting is used on proselytization. And maybe what we should expect from them is a very rigorous accounting, so you can separate out what's really charity from what's really promoting their religion. Yes, sir?
I want you to comment on that. I hope we can kind of generate a discussion here. I think that was the idea for the broader topics. But we've been doing some research to get charity status here, and in fact, it's even worse than that. They have a complete carte blanche. There's 4 designations for charity. There's educating the public, solving poverty, and then a kind of catch-all for anything that benefits the community. And on those, you actually have to meet the precedents that other charities have met. But for the religious designation, you simply have to show that what you're doing promotes belief in whatever you believe. That's it. And
that's wrong.
So you can't be, if you're an educational organization, you can't take sides on controversial issues of evolution, but of course a religion could, because maybe intelligent design or creationism is part of their belief system. Anyway, so that's kind of
That's interesting.
we have to jump through. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that you would publish something in June on John Tory.
Yeah.
And that was
I did about 3. I did 3 columns on his policy. The first one was yes, in June. It was the 15th of June, and I called it "Keep the Faith Where It Belongs." And then basically what I was talking about what he thinks he's going to get the votes, and I pointed out to him that there are about 700,000 Muslims, as Muslims for example. It's not to pick on them, I just used them as an example, because I've been doing a lot of research on Islam at that time. And I just said there were dozens of Muslim organizations claiming to speak for this community. Everybody from the Muslim Canadian Congress, membership 100, to the Canadian Islamic Congress with a claimed membership of 50,000. Supposedly the largest, but what I was basically saying was, if you're falling for these guys saying, you know, you got our votes, it doesn't really work that way. And then I went into the history of the funding of the Catholic schools. That was my first call. Why did you ask about Germany?
Oh, I was wondering about why that one was accepted, and then at some point you just had enough of those, or you're told.
No. In fact, I think yesterday's they had another. They had one of the regular. She's got two guys. A guy named Arthur Weinrib, who's an ex-lawyer, who's their associate editor, and then they've got senior correspondent. Is a guy named Klaus Rohrich, who's a consultant. And I think those guys have money in her business, so I think they're sort of her partners in this thing. And their columns appear regularly. And Rohrich had a column on it and on this whole issue of the faith-based school. So they're still publishing it, just not me.
What were pieces that were sort of exposing Islam or other religions were accepted?
Oh yeah, well, anything
that was Christian bashing.
It's yeah. I mean, in this piece that I read to you, I mean, I tackled Jews and I tackled Islam, but that didn't seem to figure. I think really it's the Harry Potter thing. I love Harry. On the issue of just getting back for a moment to the issue of the conservative proposal. I mean, I don't really think they've thought these things through. Aside from the other stuff we talk about, they had a letter to John Tory here. I thought I'd put it in. Oh well. I mean, you know, you got to start off with what's a faith. I mean, it's easy to start talking about Christianity and Islam and Hinduism and Judaism, the big four, if you want to call them that. But you get a lot of these fringe guys. I mean, you get Scientology, and you get the Church of Satan is a recognized church in the United States. The Church of the Universe out of British Columbia that's currently suing the federal government because they consider smoking marijuana to be a sacrament. I mean, you know, and there's a whole bunch of these. And what happens when they start coming and asking for a handout to run their schools? And you know, I don't think they thought that through. And what are they going to do? Have multiple school boards? I mean, how's that going to work? I mean, you know, I think, I know how these politicians work because I've been with them, especially the older politicians. They surround themselves with all these bright young, no disrespect to any bright young person in here. They surround themselves with all these bright young people who have all these whiz-bang ideas, and they want to look like they're youthful, and they go with this stuff. And unfortunately, I don't think a lot of it gets thought out. And there's a suspicion that he's gone the Davis route, so the Davis will eventually come back and maybe kill the idea. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not an insider in the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party, so I can't tell you that.
At the time they gave a separate vote, Ontario previously had been mostly Scots.
Yes.
But at that point, just before that vote became, the percentage went way up in Catholic, mostly because of immigration, I think. And that was the result, three parties voted.
Yeah.
Conservative.
Yeah, I
All
understand.
votes.
I know. I understand that they
They're
all
afraid
voted.
to vote against it.
Yeah. And but I just think that, you know, you're opening a real can of worms with this stuff, and I certainly hope he either changes the position before election day or they don't get to be the government.
Does anybody realize that in the public schools, they make an allowance for religion? Like the Muslims come in, they say, we don't want to teach our child music in the schools. They let them stay in the
Yep.
class. All of these things happen.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I would have no issue with, you know, if you had one public school system that you have as courses, comparative religions, or you know, religions of the world, or anything. Just not teaching the,
Teaching the action.
you know, and you know, I don't know. When I think about Muslims, and when I